The rain drummed against the windows as Marcus finished tucking his 7-year-old son Tyler into bed. At 32, Marcus had been raising Tyler alone for 3 years since his wife passed away from cancer. The small 2-bedroom house they rented was modest but filled with love, though the mounting bills from medical debt and single-income living had forced Marcus to consider renting out their spare room. He had just posted a "room for rent" sign in the window when he heard a soft knock at the door. Outside stood a young woman, perhaps in her early 20s, soaked from the rain and carrying a worn backpack. Her clothes were clean but simple, and her eyes held a mixture of desperation and determination. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "I saw your sign. Is the room still available?" Marcus studied her face, noting that she looked exhausted and possibly hungry. "It is. Come in out of the rain and we can talk." The woman, who introduced herself as Emma, explained that she was new to the area and looking for affordable housing while she searched for work. She could pay the modest rent Marcus was asking, but she clearly had limited resources. "I should mention, I have a young son," Marcus said as they sat in the living room. "He's 7, and he can be energetic. The house isn't exactly quiet." "I love children," Emma replied, with the first genuine smile he had seen from her. "I wouldn't mind the company." Something about Emma's quiet dignity reminded Marcus of his own struggles during his wife's illness, when he had been forced to rely on the kindness of others. He decided to trust his instincts. "The room is yours if you want it. First month's rent is due whenever you can manage it." Emma's eyes filled with tears of relief. "Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me." Over the following weeks, Emma proved to be an ideal housemate. She was quiet, respectful, and wonderfully patient with Tyler, who quickly became attached to the gentle woman who helped him with homework and listened to his endless stories about dinosaurs and soccer. Marcus noticed that Emma seemed educated and articulate, but she was evasive about her background and previous work experience. She took a job at a local cafe and contributed to household expenses without complaint. But there was something about her situation that didn't quite add up. "Emma," Tyler asked one evening as she helped him build a fort with couch cushions, "how come you don't have a family?" Emma's expression grew sad. "Sometimes families don't work out the way we hope they will, Tyler. But I'm grateful to be part of your family now." Marcus overheard this exchange and felt his heart go out to Emma, understanding that she was carrying some kind of pain that went beyond simple financial hardship. One evening, while Emma was at work, Marcus was helping Tyler with a school project when his son made an observation that surprised him. "Dad, Emma talks like she went to fancy school, but she doesn't have nice clothes or a car. How come?" Marcus realized that Tyler had noticed the same inconsistencies that had puzzled him. Emma spoke with the confidence of someone educated and successful, but she lived like someone who had lost everything. The truth came to light 3 weeks later when a black town car pulled up outside their house. Marcus watched through the window as an older man in an expensive suit got out and approached the door with determined strides. When Marcus answered, the man introduced himself as Charles Wellington, CEO of Wellington Industries, and asked to speak with Emma immediately. "Emma isn't here right now. Can I ask what this is about?" "It's about my daughter, who has been missing for 2 months. I have reason to believe she's staying here." Marcus felt confused. "Sir, I think there's been a mistake. The young woman staying here is named Emma, and she's been looking for work. Her name is Emily Wellington, and she's been hiding from her family and her responsibilities." When Emma returned from work that evening, she found Marcus and Charles waiting in the living room. Her face went pale when she saw her father. "Emily," Charles said, his voice a mixture of relief and frustration, "this has gone on long enough. It's time to come home and face reality." Emma sat down heavily, her composure finally cracking. "Dad, I told you I needed time to think. I couldn't make that decision under pressure." Marcus felt like he was watching a private family drama unfold in his living room. "I'm sorry, but I'm very confused about what's happening here." Emma looked at Marcus with tears in her eyes. "Marcus, I haven't been completely honest with you. My name is Emily Wellington, and my father wants me to take over his company, but I've never wanted that life." Charles turned to Marcus. "Mr. Rodriguez, I appreciate that you've provided shelter for my daughter, but she has responsibilities she can't run away from. Dad, those are responsibilities you chose for me, not ones I chose for myself." Marcus began to understand the situation. Emily hadn't been homeless due to poverty, but because she was trying to escape the suffocating expectations of wealth and corporate obligation. "Emily," Marcus said gently, "why didn't you tell me who you really were?" "Because for the first time in my life, someone treated me like a regular person instead of an heiress or a business asset. You and Tyler accepted me for who I am, not what I represent." Tyler, who had been listening from the hallway, came into the room. "Emma, are you going to leave us?" Emily knelt down to Tyler's level. "I don't want to leave, Tyler. Living here with you and your dad has been the happiest I've been in years." Charles observed this interaction with growing understanding. "Emily, I can see that you found something meaningful here, but you can't abandon your education and your future indefinitely." "I don't want to abandon my education. I want to use it for something that matters to me." Marcus found himself mediating between father and daughter. "Mr. Wellington, what if Emily could find a way to use her business training for something she's passionate about?" Over the following hours, a compromise began to emerge. Emily would complete her MBA, but she would focus on social entrepreneurship and nonprofit management rather than taking over the family corporation. Charles would establish a foundation that Emily could eventually run, focusing on housing assistance and support for single-parent families. "Emily," Charles said as the evening wound down, "I just want you to be happy and successful. Dad, I know you do, but success means different things to different people." 6 months later, Emily stood in the conference room of the newly established Wellington Foundation, presenting her first major initiative, a program providing transitional housing and job training for people experiencing housing instability. Marcus had been hired as the program's community coordinator, bringing his experience as a single parent and his natural empathy for people facing difficult circumstances. "Emily," Marcus said after her presentation to the board, "you've created something that's going to help hundreds of families. I learned about real community from you and Tyler. Living in your house taught me that home isn't about how much money you spend on it, but about the love and support you build within it." Tyler, now 8 and thriving in his new school funded by Emily's scholarship program, had maintained his close relationship with Emily, who had become like a big sister to him. "Emily," Tyler said one afternoon as they worked on homework together, "I'm glad you didn't go back to being rich and fancy." Emily laughed. "Tyler, I'm still rich, but now I'm using my money to help people instead of just having it sit in bank accounts." Marcus understood that Emily's time as Emma had been essential for her to discover her own values separate from her family's expectations. The young woman who had knocked on his door in the rain hadn't been running away from responsibility. She had been running toward authenticity. The room he had rented to help with bills had brought him not just financial stability, but a friend and partner in meaningful work, while Emily had found the family connection and sense of purpose she had been seeking. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales of kindness, second chances, and the unexpected connections that can transform our lives. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind us of the good in humanity.